I'm about to tell you to stop saying good job to your kids. And before you click away thinking I'm insane, I used to say it 47 times a day to my son, until I learned it was making him more anxious, not less. The fix: a 3-second trick from Japan that completely changed how he sees himself. Here's what happened. Here's the test. Does your child only try hard when you're watching? Do they melt down when they're not the best at something? Do they constantly look at your face to see if they did it right? That's called the praise paradox, and we accidentally created it. I see this every single day. A mom at the playground yesterday, her daughter climbed to the top of the slide. "Good job, sweetie. You're so brave." The little girl immediately looked down, checking mom's face before deciding if she should feel proud. She wasn't experiencing her own accomplishment. She was performing for an audience of one. Stanford researchers found that when we say "you're so smart," kids become terrified of looking dumb. So they stop trying new things. Their brain literally gets addicted to our approval instead of their own satisfaction. Here's what's happening in their developing brain. Every time you say "good job," they get a hit of dopamine. But that dopamine is tied to your opinion, not the task itself. Over time, they become like little approval addicts, constantly checking your face to see if they've done enough. This is why so many kids today struggle with anxiety and perfectionism. They aren't afraid of failing the task. They're afraid of losing your approval. Think about it. When's the last time your child finished something and didn't immediately turn to you for validation? "Mom, look, did I do good? Is it good?" They can't even enjoy their own achievement for 5 seconds before they need your verdict. In Japan, they noticed this problem decades ago. There's a fundamental parenting philosophy called Mimamoru, which literally means watching over. But it's not about ignoring your child. It's about witnessing their effort without immediately judging it as good or bad. Japanese educators found that when a parent or teacher constantly evaluates a child's work, even with positive words, it shifts the child's focus from the task to the authority figure. The kid stops thinking "I built something cool" and starts thinking "did I make the adult happy?" One Japanese kindergarten teacher told me, "In America, I hear 'good job' 100 times in 1 hour. In Japan, we might say it once, but we are always watching, always noticing." And they turned this philosophy into a practical 3-second rule that any parent can use starting tonight. Here's the rule. 3 steps, 3 seconds each. Total time, 9 seconds, but it will change everything. Step 1. The power of the pause. Your kid shows you a drawing, or finishes cleaning their room, or completes a math problem. Your reflex is to immediately say, "Great job," but instead, you're going to stop, look at what they did. Actually look at it for 3 full seconds of silence. This pause does 3 things. It stops your automatic reflex. It shows the child you're actually paying attention to their work, not just reacting to their presence. And most importantly, it creates space for the child to feel their own pride before you fill the room with your voice. Step 2. Descriptive observation. Instead of a judgment like "it's beautiful" or "you're so good at this," you're going to describe what you see. Factually, neutrally. You used 5 different colors in this sky. I see you put all the blue blocks in the bin by themselves. You wrote your name with a capital letter at the beginning. No judgment, no evaluation, just noticing. This activates a completely different part of their brain. Instead of the ego-driven, "am I good enough?" center, you're lighting up the observational center. They start to see the details of their own achievement. Step 3. Internal reflection. This is the game changer. You're going to ask them about their own internal experience. How did you decide to use those colors? Which part was the hardest to finish? What do you think about what you made? This forces the child to look inward and evaluate their own work. It teaches them that their opinion of their effort is more important than yours. This is how you build a child who is self-motivated and resilient. Let me show you how this worked for real families. Sarah had a 7-year-old son named Leo who would rage quit any board game the moment he started losing. Why? because Sarah had spent years telling him, "You're so smart," every time he succeeded. So his entire identity was wrapped up in being the smart one. And smart people don't lose. After 2 weeks of the 3-second rule, everything shifted. Leo finished a difficult puzzle. Sarah didn't say you're a genius or good job. She paused, looked at the puzzle, and said, "I saw you try 4 different pieces in that corner before you found the one that fit. How did it feel when it finally clicked?" Leo stopped looking at her for a thumbs up. He looked back at the puzzle and smiled. "It felt like my brain figured something out." Within a month, Leo was tackling harder tasks independently. He no longer felt the pressure to be smart. He felt the freedom to be persistent. The Tanaka family in Osaka applied this to daily chores. Instead of saying "good girl" when their daughter cleaned her room, they would pause, look around, and say, "I see you put your books on the shelf and your clothes in the hamper. How does it feel to have more space to play?" After a week, she started cleaning her room without being asked. The 3-second rule removed the transactional nature of the chore and replaced it with personal agency. Now, let me walk you through the 3 biggest mistakes I see parents make with this rule. Mistake 1. Using a sarcastic or passive-aggressive tone. The descriptive observation must be neutral and sincere. If you say, "Oh, you used blue again, just like yesterday," you're not describing, you're judging. Your tone matters more than your words. Mistake 2. Following up your observation with hidden judgment or advice. You'll start strong. "I see you used a lot of blue in this sky," and then you can't help yourself. "But real skies have other colors too. Maybe try some pink next time." You just destroyed the entire internal reflection window. Describe, reflect, and stop talking. Mistake 3. Being impatient with yourself and giving up too soon. Your brain is wired for the quick hit of "good job." Breaking that habit is hard. You're going to forget. You're going to slip back. Give yourself 2 weeks of consistent practice. Start with low-stakes moments. The drawing, the block tower, the cleaned-up toy corner. Build the muscle memory when the pressure is low. Here's what you're really doing with the 3-second rule. You're teaching your child that their opinion of their work matters more than yours, that their internal experience is valuable, that they are the ultimate judge of their own effort. This is how you build a human who doesn't crumble when someone criticizes them, who doesn't need constant validation from bosses, romantic partners, or social media. Think about the adults, who are anxious, who are people pleasers, who can't make a decision without polling everyone around them. What happened to them? As kids, somebody taught them that their worth was determined by external approval. You have the power to break that cycle right now. Children feel more seen when you notice the details of their work than when you give them a generic compliment. Telling a child "you're so smart" is lazy parenting. Anyone can say that. Noticing that they spent 20 minutes trying to tie their shoes, that they used a strategy you've never seen them use before. That's active, loving witness. One builds an ego that needs constant feeding. The other builds a soul that knows its own worth. So here's your challenge. Starting tonight, replace "good job" with "I noticed." One moment, one interaction. One time today where you pause, describe, and reflect instead of praise. And if this shifted how you see things, please subscribe. That's how I know this work matters. Leave me a comment. I read every single one. Thank you for being the kind of parent who questions the defaults. Your kids are lucky to have you, not because you're perfect, but because you're trying. I'll see you in the next one.